Yale University has held its African Women Leadership Forum for the first time in Lagos, Nigeria. The event, which was organized for the purpose of creating a network of women on the continent who have exhibited traits of leadership, had in attendance 6 women who have been part of similar meetings at the university in the United States of America. Eddie, the director for Africa and Middle East, says that the forum is to serve as a platform for connecting younger women with the potentials to lead the experienced women. Our correspondent, Inaugurates, reports.
The third oldest institution of higher education in the United States of America, Yale University, is interested in the rich human resources available in the African continent. This has been expressed in many ways over the years, one of which is close interaction and sharing insight on issues that affect the continent with women who have shown characteristics of leadership, especially in the political sphere. 6 of them have been invited to the African Leadership Women's Forum for knowledge sharing with the younger generation. But before the panel begins, the organizers list their reason for choosing Nigeria as a venue for this meeting.
With the growing influence of Africa in the world, with the fastest growing economies anywhere, it was the moment for our university to begin to bring scholarship and teaching about Africa into sharper focus.
While there's interest in Africans, this particular meeting has been organized specially for the about half of the 1.3 billion Africans living on the continent, the women.
Amazing, innovative, entrepreneurial people with great energy and ambition and hustle. And I've met fantastic women. Women are the hope of Africa. And of course, what interested me was that...
Then the panel, which is made up of 3 Nigerians, 1 Ghanaian and 1 Malian, all women who have shown passion in leading and touching lives. One after the other, they share lessons from their journey to leadership, revealing similar traits irrespective of the country.
Leadership for me, ultimately, is really about pouring out yourself in service to those around you.
The barriers that we have in Mali, and I think in all other countries, it's the barrier of tradition and religions.
Candid talks from one woman to another, all for the objective of creating a network of strong women who are ready to take up leadership roles while learning from each other.
It's an opportunity for women to hear about how women have risen over adversity in the areas of politics, in the areas of governance, in the areas of business and leadership in society.
Empowered, motivated, and more closely knit than when the event started, the women leave with a promise to realize and pursue their passion, which will make lasting impacts in their communities. Inaugurates reporting for Channels Television News.
Let's turn our attention to health matters now. The World Health Organization, the WHO, says that viral hepatitis is gradually replacing HIV and AIDS, as well as tuberculosis, which were hitherto considered to be amongst the deadliest public health challenges in most developing countries, including Nigeria. A report by the WHO reveals that while HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis-related deaths revolved around 1.1 million and 1.4 million, respectively, in 2015, hepatitis B and C related deaths peaked at 1.34 million during the same year. Our next report examines Nigeria's path towards achieving the zero hepatitis target by the year 2030.
Hepatitis is a viral infection that attacks the liver, causing it to be inflamed. According to WHO, an estimated 1.34 million people died from hepatitis B and C in 2015 alone, making it a leading cause of death in developing countries when compared with HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis. In Nigeria, the WHO estimates over 20 million people living with viral hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E.
My father died from liver cancer.
At this conference, to discuss Nigeria's path to achieve zero hepatitis by the year 2030, participants focus on what the government must do to achieve the goal.
Within our agenda, we hope to be able to consider and pass a bill on the control and management of blood transfer in Nigeria. We are also thinking that just like we have a focus on HIV/AIDS, and we'll be able to do quite a lot. We have reduced HIV prevalence to 1.1 from where it were before. We should, if we want to achieve hepatitis zero, consider to have an agency that will specifically look at controlling and managing hepatitis in Nigeria. And we work with all stakeholders to be able to achieve this as part of our agenda.
Although hepatitis B is a vaccine-preventable disease, just as a type C is treatable with antiviral medications, viral hepatitis continues to remain a major public health challenge in Nigeria, as many people do not know their status, making it difficult to control its spread.
Hepatitis is a bit like HIV. If you don't test for it, you don't find it at that early stage where you can intervene. And when it progresses to causing liver cirrhosis or liver cancer, it's too late. So we all have to collectively increase, firstly, our awareness of the disease, secondly, our testing for it at the early stages so that interventions can happen to prevent liver disease, which becomes a problem. Hepatitis B is actually a vaccine-preventable disease. Hepatitis C has a treatment. There's no vaccine for C, but there's a treatment, and that treatment cost is reducing. But as a country, we need to collectively carry out procurement that leverages on volume in order to drive down costs.
It's a whole decade to the year 2030 zero hepatitis target. Now is a time to set the right priorities if the government is to make any significant gains in her efforts to reduce the burden of viral hepatitis in the country.
The second Niger bridge is gradually becoming a reality as the Federal Ministry of Works says that it is 30% complete. Our correspondent who visits the site says that the project is at the level of casting of decks and hoisting them on the bridge piers. The second Niger bridge, which is the federal government's project, is meant to relieve the old bridge built since 1965.
The 55-year-old Niger Bridge sprawls across the river Niger from Asaba in Delta State to Onitsha in Anambra State. Built since 1965, the bridge is the link between the southeast and the southwestern parts of the country. Driving on the bridge, you do not see any sign of weakness as the decks were built to last for over 60 years. But with the rising population of the country, the bridge has become prone to heavy traffic, which is already affecting its structural integrity. This burden and the absence of railway tracks makes it imperative for government to consider the construction of a new bridge, now known as the Second Niger Bridge. There are 2 points of entry into the Second Niger Bridge. Motorists will either have to come through the Onitsha axis or through the Asaba end. A visit to the area through Asaba reveals the difference between the levels of construction in May 2019, when the Vice President visited, and now. Engineers say the lifespan of the Second Niger Bridge decks is over 100 years. This is better than the old bridge, and the people of Anambra State appreciate such quality project.
When he was campaigning, President Buhari pledged that he will complete it, he will build it, start and complete it within a given period.
The distance between the old bridge and the second one is 1.7 kilometers, while the gaps in between the 3 navigation channels of the bridge are 150 meters each, making it easy for ships to navigate.
When you get to Second Niger Bridge, it's not very far from here. When you get there, you see it by yourself. You know, imagine the bridge that the federal government is spending over 200 billion. When I got there, the level of work is even above what is being shared all over the social media.
With the pace of work, the rainy season remains a clog in the wheel of speedy construction of the bridge as the water level rises. But then, hopes are high that the construction company would deliver quality Second Niger Bridge at record time to ease traffic on that road.
The Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, says that it is set to begin an audit of all contractors, consultants, vendors, suppliers and non-governmental organizations doing business with it. In a statement from the Office of the Managing Director of the NDDC, the Commission explains that all matters surrounding outstanding claims are to be directed to the respective state offices or head office of the NDDC. For verification of their financial claims, all contractors are to provide letters of awards of contract, contract agreements, interim payment certificates, and evidence of letters of discharge from advance payments guarantees.
Efforts to reposition the Niger Delta Development Commission to deliver its mandate on offering lasting solutions to socio-economic and environmental problems in the region, the acting managing director, Dr. Joy Nune, is inaugurating a contract verification committee.
Alternate chairman in case I'm not available because we'll be touring with a lot of states.
The panel, which is expected to identify, inspect and verify projects and contracts, is also in preparation for the commencement for the forensic audit ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari.
You all know about all the debts people claim that we have in NDDC. Those debts, of course, we hope will be shortened by half, hopefully. We don't know how long. There's so many fake IPCs all over the country. And so we're going to have our team go out to all the states to verify these projects and these contracts.
Although the Commission had an unprocessed budget of 350 billion naira in 2019, a total of 1,921 emergency contracts worth over 1 trillion naira was said to have been awarded within 7 months. After the inauguration, the committee is holding a press briefing on the exercise.
With this volume of exposure, you now see why the president had to order for this forensic audit. You now see the reason why the Interim Management Committee has set up this verification exercise.
This verification is expected to evaluate and substantiate claims of contracts and debts, among other things, in the 9 Niger Delta states, thereby laying a foundation for the forensic audit of the activities of the Commission for its inception to date.
Let's shift gears now, shall we, to business news with Teniola Shoboli.
Thanks, Gimba. Welcome to Business News. Over 35 cargoes remain for export this month in February, despite extremely sluggish trading as latest crude loading program emerge. This comes as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation lowered its official selling prices for next month, with Bonny Light crude to dated Brent at plus 232 cents per barrel, down from 251 cents in January, while Kwaibo is at 237 cents, down from 266 cents per barrel. Some market players consider the OSPS for both months as disconnected from market reality and higher shipping costs, which have discouraged buyers. Meanwhile, 8 cargoes from the Kwaibo crude stream are expected to be exported in February, with 4 assigned to Exxon and 4 to the NNPC. The stock market ends the second full trading week of January on a positive note after a struggle for supremacy between the bears and the bulls within 5 sessions. Despite heavy sell pressure from 3 out of the 5 sectoral sub-index of the NSE, the market's main index rose by 0.69%, while total value of equities climbed 0.54%, largely on support from the banking sector key components, as well as gains from MTN Nigeria. In price performance, Forte Oil emerged best for the week, ahead of 20 other gainers with a 21.89% increase. Consolidated Hallmark Insurance is worst among 42 losers after a 14.29% loss, while 100 equities remained unchanged. Meanwhile, the trio of Union Diagnostics, Access and Zenith Bank are major contributors to more than 2 billion shares traded in over 26,000 transactions for the week. Some company news now. The board of Unilever Nigeria PLC has appointed Carl Cruz as its new managing director. In a statement sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the company says Mr. Cruz is expected to assume leadership of the multinational consumer goods and personal care company with effect from February the 1st. He will be taking over from Mr. Adeshola Shobande Peters, who was appointed interim director following the resignation of Yale in November 2019. Until his appointment by the company's board, Mr. Cruz, who is from the Philippines, served as the chairman of Unilever Sri Lanka. And that's business news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Back to you, Gimba.
Still ahead on the news at 10, world number 1 Ashley Barty receives major boosts ahead of the Australian Open after beating Diana 6-2, 7-5 to win the Adelaide International. Join us again.